Have you ever woken up and felt completely disconnected from everything that used to drive you? You look around. Same home, same people, same routine. But something feels different, hollow, silent, like the engine that used to push you forward has vanished. You're not tired in the physical sense. You're empty. And worse, you can't explain why. You tell yourself, I should be grateful. I have things others would kill for. But there's a voice inside that whispers, I don't care anymore. It's not depression. It's not burnout. At least, not in the way most people understand it. Carl Jung called this moment the beginning of a deep inner transformation, a turning point in the psyche, the death of the ego. Now, when we hear the word ego, we often think of arrogance, pride, vanity. But Jung wasn't talking about that kind of ego. He meant the psychological structure that says, this is who I am. The identity you build over years, the mask you wear in society, the roles you play, the achiever, the strong one, the helper, the successful one. And for most of your life, that ego serves a purpose. It helps you function. It gives you direction. It motivates you to succeed, to belong, to matter. But there comes a time, often triggered by loss, disillusionment, or awakening, when that ego structure starts to crack. What once gave you meaning now feels meaningless. What once drove you now leaves you numb. It feels like something is dying, and it is. But it's not your life. It's the version of you that was built around performance, survival, and fear. And that death, as painful as it is, opens the door to something real. Jung believed that in order to become whole, the ego must collapse. Because the ego only knows what it's been told. It builds itself out of parental expectations, societal pressures, religious teachings, childhood wounds. It tells you you're valuable when you succeed. You're lovable when you help. You're safe when you stay small. You're worthy when others approve. But these are not truths. They're survival strategies. And at some point, they stop working. That's when the drive disappears, not because you're lazy, not because you failed, but because your soul is no longer willing to play by those rules. The energy that once fueled your ambition, your plans, your striving, it dries up. Why? Because your deeper self, the authentic self, is calling you home. And the ego doesn't know how to go there. So what happens? You feel lost, directionless, disoriented. You try to set new goals, but none of them light a fire in you. You try to be productive, but every task feels forced. You might even wonder, is something wrong with me? Jung would say, no, nothing is wrong. In fact, everything is finally beginning. This void you're experiencing isn't emptiness. It's space. Space for something deeper to emerge. But this emergence can't be rushed. Because the ego wants answers. It wants clarity, control, speed. But the soul speaks a different language. One of slowness, silence, symbols, dreams. This phase is what Jung called the descent into the unconscious. It is not a breakdown. It is a sacred unraveling. A return to what you've ignored, denied, or forgotten. So if you've lost the drive, let it be lost. Let yourself rest in the mystery. Let the old stories die. And in that stillness, listen. Because something new will begin to stir. Not a louder ambition, not a shinier version of your past self, but a quieter, wiser energy. A motivation that arises not from fear, but from truth. Maybe you'll be drawn to things that once seemed pointless. Spending time in nature, creating art, sitting in silence, helping without reward. The ego will resist. It will scream, "This is not useful. This is not productive." But your soul knows better. Because when the ego dies, the soul speaks. And when you listen, the drive returns. But it's different. It's slower, deeper, more aligned. Jung called this the individuation process, the path of becoming who you really are, not the mask, not the role, but the integrated self. This is why people who go through spiritual awakenings often feel worse before they feel better. They think they're falling apart, but really, they're falling into place. You don't need to rebuild what was. You need to let emerge what has always been. So, if you feel lost right now, if you've lost the drive, if you feel like a stranger to your own life, good. That means the journey inward has begun. Don't rush it. Don't fill the space. Don't force clarity. Instead, welcome the silence. Grieve the old identity, and trust that what's coming is more real than anything the ego ever built. Because the truth is, you didn't lose the drive, you outgrew the lie.